Okay, so today's lesson is going to be about the comparative essay and how to write a comparative essay for senior English classes. Your typical essay structure has 3 body paragraphs, an introduction, and a concluding paragraph. In each sub-argument paragraph, you'll have 3 separate points proving that argument with your proof and a comment or analysis explaining how that point supports both the topic of your paragraph and your thesis. Remember, your thesis needs to have a claim and 3 arguments that are going to support or prove your claim. A typical essay structure also finishes with a concluding paragraph. So there are a few things that are similar with a comparative essay structure and a traditional essay structure. The first is that in a comparative essay, you do have an introductory paragraph and you have a concluding paragraph. You will also have a properly written thesis, which would include your central claim, as mentioned before, your 3 arguments that prove your claim or support your claim. It differs in a couple things as well. So the first way it's going to differ, it's not going to have a traditional 3 body paragraph structure with 3-point proof comments in each body paragraph. In addition, in a comparative essay, your claim must be applicable to both texts that you are using, as are your arguments. Your 3 arguments must be applicable to both texts as well. For the body of comparative essay structures, there are 3 different formats or methods for approaching the comparative essay, and the rest of this video will show you the 3 different methods you can use. So the first method is called the chunk method. And this method is exactly what it sounds like. You are essentially chunking the books into 2 different sections. You'll have chunk 1 and chunk 2. Chunk 1 will discuss book 1 first with your 3 arguments, 1, 2, 3. Chunk 2 discusses book 2 with 3 arguments, 1, 2, 3. Now please note how in your chunks, each chunk is 3 paragraphs. In each paragraph you have 2 sub-arguments, so 2-point proof comments for each paragraph. So argument 1 paragraph for book 1, argument 2 paragraph for book 1, argument 3 paragraph for book 1. And of course, each paragraph has its own topic sentence and concluding sentence. And of course, you would follow the same format for book number 2. So you'd have your argument 1 for book 2 in paragraph 1, argument 2 for book 2 in paragraph 2, and argument 3 for book 2 in your 3rd paragraph. To help you understand, we're going to use the example of lemons versus apples. So let's say this was our topic and we were going to use the chunk method. Which is better, lemons versus apples? So here I have my thesis. Lemons are a superior fruit to apples based on their color, argument 1, vitamins, argument 2, and their health benefits, argument 3. Although simplistic, I do have a claim, which is that lemons are a superior fruit, and I have 3 arguments that are going to help me prove that point. The color of lemons, the color, the vitamins, and the health benefits of each fruit. Now, if you look at my chunk 1, I'm going to talk all about the lemons. Paragraph 1 is going to be the color of lemons, and I'm going to have 2 times point proof comment, right? Then for paragraph 2, I'm going to have my second argument, which is the vitamins in lemons. And for paragraph 3, I will have my 3rd argument for the health benefits of lemons. So chunk 1 is all working to prove how lemons are a superior fruit based on their color, vitamins, and health benefits. Now chunk 2 is going to focus on apples, and it's going to do the same thing. Paragraph 1 will focus on the color of apples, comparing now to the lemons. Argument 2 is going to talk about the vitamins in apples, again comparing to the vitamins of lemons. And argument 3, paragraph 6, I guess it would be now, would be the health benefits of apples. So chunk 1 talks about just the lemons, chunk 2 talks about just the apples. In your essay, that you would have chunk 1 talking about Othello and chunk 2 talking about A Doll's House, and or vice versa. So the next comparative essay structure is called the ping pong method. And essentially what you're going to do in this comparative structure is you're going to ping pong or go back and forth between book 1 and book 2. So your first focus will be your first argument, and you're going to discuss your first argument in your first paragraph here with book 1. So how you see your first argument in book 1 with 2 point proof comments. Then you'll ping or pong to your second paragraph and your second book, still focusing on the first argument. Then you'll flip, you'll go to your second argument and show me how you see that in your first book. And then you will flip again, show me how you see the second argument in the second book. And you follow the same pattern for argument 3. Also remember that as you're working through each argument, you're always tying back your analysis back to your thesis. You're still trying to prove the same point in all these arguments, and you're still having to connect them all the way back to the claim that you are making. So don't lose sight of the purpose of your essay, which is to explore or prove your thesis because of the format. So again, we've used the examples lemon versus apples. We have the same thesis. Lemons are a superior fruit to apples based on their color, vitamins, and their health benefits. So if I was using the ping pong method for this thesis and this essay, my first argument would be about color. So my first paragraph would explore how the color of lemons makes them superior. And then I would, in paragraph 2, explore how the colors of apples do not make them quite as superior as the colors of lemons. I will move on to my second argument, and I would talk about the vitamins in lemons versus the vitamins in apples when I would discuss that in paragraph 4. Move on to my argument 3, which would be health benefits. And again, in paragraph 5, I would discuss the health benefits of lemons versus the health benefits in paragraph 6 of apples. So you're ping-ponging back and forth between each book. But you're ping-ponging in complete paragraphs with topic sentences, of course, and concluding sentences. And again, you're not losing sight of the purpose of your essay, so you're giving me context for your quotations, you're giving me concrete comments and analyses, and you're connecting those back to your thesis claim. So this last comparative essay structure can be a little bit confusing, but I'll try my best to explain it. If you don't understand now, it'll become much more clear when I show you the example with lemon versus apples. So again, you start with your thesis and your introductory paragraph, but what happens in point by point is that you're going to, in each paragraph, discuss each book. So what's different than the other two structures had paragraphs devoted to each book. In here, you're going to mix the books together in both paragraphs. So it's almost like a side-by-side comparison. Here's my sub-argument and how I see it in book 2. Here's the same sub-argument and how I see it in book 1. Here's the same sub-argument and how I see it in book 2. What perhaps is a little more challenging is that these have to be, parallel arguments, and the sub-arguments have to fit both books as well. So I'll just walk you through this one before I give you the example. So here we have argument 1, paragraph 1. And in paragraph 1, I'm going to talk about my sub-argument or my first point with my book 1, proper point proof comment. Then I'm going to immediately after talk about the same sub-argument but show how I see it in book 2 with point proof comment. Then I'm going to get my second in my second paragraph, I'm going to talk about my second sub-argument or my second point and show you how I see it in book 1. And immediately after, I'm going to get my second sub-argument and show you how I see it in book 2. So you're kind of drawing direct comparisons or direct contrasts between the book. You're not waiting a whole separate paragraph to talk about the next book. You talk about it immediately after. And you follow the same paragraph for argument 2. So argument 2, paragraph 3, subargument 1, book 1, subargument 1, book 2. Followed immediately after, subargument 2 for argument 2, with book 1, subargument 2 with book 2. Okay, and you follow the same pattern. So to make this a little more concrete, I've actually broken down this essay structure using, again, our example of lemons versus apples and the idea that lemons are superior. So if argument 1 is about color, my first subpoint or subargument would be the exterior color of lemons. And then I would directly compare that to the exterior color of apples. That would be paragraph 1. Paragraph 2 is going to look at the interior colors of lemons and the interior color of apples. So I have my argument, which is color, and I have my 2 subarguments. Subargument 1, which would be the exterior color, and subargument 2, which would be interior. So here you'd have 1 point proof comment per book, making it a total of 2 point proof comments per paragraph, just like all the other paragraphs. And so here, now once you've finished talking about the exterior color of lemons and versus apples and the interior colors of lemons versus apples, you would then move on to argument 2. And in argument 2, I'm talking about the vitamins in vitamin C in lemons versus vitamin C in apples, and vitamin D in lemons versus vitamin D in apples, because my second argument is vitamins. Sorry. So I have my subarguments C and vitamin D. If you go on to argument 3, which is the health benefits, I have point 1, which is the physical health benefits of lemons versus the physical health benefits of apples, and point 2, the emotional health benefits of lemons versus the emotional health benefits of apples. And that would bring us to the end of our comparative structure, which is the point-by-point comparative structure. So just to reiterate, this structure is more of a direct comparison between the 2 books versus talking about one book and then talking about the other. Okay, so here are just some final tips for comparative essay writing. Please remember that each of these essay structures has an introduction and concluding paragraph. All the options have 6 body paragraphs, so no matter which one you choose, you should have 6 body paragraphs with 2 point-proof comments or analysis per paragraph for a total of 12 point-proof comments. The chunk method is best for shorter essays because in longer pieces, your reader may lose the connection between books. It might take you a while to finish talking about book 1, and then by the time you start talking about book 2, the reader may have lost your first points. The ping-pong method is best used for essays like this one that you'll be writing in class. And the point-by-point method is best used when you feel you need to make direct parallels between the books for each subargument you are making. Point-by-point will also work well when your subarguments are pretty much the same for both books. That way you can give me a direct comparison between the 2. Lastly, don't forget to use comparative transition words. And in our rubric, there is a mark allotted to the use of transition words. So here are just a few, but there's a lot more. We have by the same token, conversely, instead, likewise, on the other hand, on the one hand, on the contrary, rather, similarly, yet, but, however, still, nonetheless, and in contrast. So please challenge yourself to be more sophisticated in your writing and your use of transition words, and show off. Show me how smart you are. Good luck and get writing.